the last level. You're now a different person. You're a completely different person. Things are becoming easier. You might actually have gotten some friction from family members, like, why are things changing? That's good. Resist that friction, keep going. By now you should have done a minimum of 4 weeks of training and applying all of these things. And what I would recommend is making sure that you actually go and do 6 weeks of training before you get into this bit, because we're going to review it all now. Because that 6 weeks, you're in the heat of it. Things are definitely happening. You're genuinely noticing strength gains. You'll have subjective feelings telling you you're doing the right thing. Energy levels are increasing. Muscle gains are happening. Fat loss is happening. And these all come before things like progress pics. Those noticeable changes come around about the 3-month mark. Now, they can 100% come earlier, within weeks. That's when you're doing everything perfectly. Sometimes it gets too much for people if they do things perfectly, but if they can sustain a few weeks together, if they can string really good weeks together, you change as a person. You realize your capabilities and you realize what you can do. So, with your training.
Now I'm going to show you what actual progression looks like. You don't need, and I'm going to show you a bunch of clients' spreadsheets at a glance here, and I could have cherry picked people who nail it and just shown you all greens, but that's not what you need to see, and that doesn't represent what's going on. You just need to see consistency, and you need to see what successful progression looks like. Sweet, so I got 5 here. I'll just quickly run over them. So if we just look at these without even looking at the numbers, you can see a trend of green. You might go, oh, there's like, he missed a session here. That's why the red's there and there. These reds over here is because I told this person to go down on a strength exercise so they can keep form better, different to the machine stuff. And then the little blips of red was like, so here he went heavier and that's why it's gone red. So that actually was a green. Same thing here. He went heavier on these ones. Green, green, green. So you can actually look, we're seeing a proper trend of green there. Next one, lots of greens at the start. So we see blips over here. So genuine non-progression there, which is fine. Actually, I remember telling this person to go lighter as well. But the little blips you can see, maybe they felt like they needed to go lighter on this one to keep better form. And then next week, they'll progress there as well. But regardless, full trend of green, ignoring the week that they missed. And I wouldn't even leave that gap there. I would just continue on from here. So move all of these to the left. So yeah, we're even looking at a less consistent block of 6 weeks, but still progressing. Another one here where we see not as hardcore progression, but very consistent. I think I had to tell this person to. Sometimes people look at the program and they'll see 3 sets of 10, and then they'll stop here. They'll go, okay, I'll just stop when it says 3 sets of 10, because that's what the program says. What you're after is actually a hard set. So if you're doing 50 kilos, but once you do a set of 10 and you've got more in the tank, go past what the program says. Do more. Go for 11. Go for 12. Go for 15 if that's what's going to give you a stimulative set, because that's why we're all here at the gym. We're all there to stress the muscles and get a hard set out. So the program is a guide. Once you get that set of 15, sweet. Now you're telling yourself, I can go heavier. But sometimes people can hold themselves back, and this is what this is showing me. And I have to tell a lot of people, don't just do what the program says. If you happen to be doing a lighter weight, go for more reps. Let's look at another one. Yeah, real solid progression here. Very consistent. Searching for greens. Cool. And then a 3-day person here. Sometimes there was a reason why we missed this exercise, but genuine progression with blips of red as well. That's what progression looks like. You can even see in people's programs when there's gaps, which is totally fine. Actually, this is at the end of the week. Life happens, but as long as you're staying above that 85% mark of consistency, you're going to be ticking over, you're going to be getting greens, you're going to be getting stronger, you're going to be getting progressive overload.
We want above 85% adherence, ideally above 90%. If you are getting less than 85% of adherence of, let's say you've said 3 training days, and over 6 weeks, you've done less than 85% of those. So you have 18 total, 0.85 times 18, that'd be 3 sessions times 6 weeks is 18 total. If you've done less than 15.3 or 15 sessions, that's not consistent. And it's okay. You may have genuinely, even watching after all of this, you may have innocently and with good intentions picked something like a 4-day program, but you really can't do it. That's fine. Now we can go back into that realm and get even more G'd up about a 3-day program. Or same example, 3 down to 2. Or it could just be a discipline, laziness, sort of procrastination thing. And that's when you may really have to unpack that and have a discussion with a coach or someone else around you of why it's not happening. But once you manifest it, write into the calendar, you decide a good amount of training days, just try it out. Like if you feel like you're being dragged along just to get to the gym, try it out. A couple of weeks of consistency and you'll feel much better about it. The endorphins will be flowing. We want your technique to be improving by any regard. You're feeling the muscle group better. You can contract them better. No pain, confidence in doing it, less doubt, and then just any progression. No poison exercises, which are exercises in there. And again, it shouldn't be in there because of the principles that we've done. There should be nothing in that program that you hate doing and therefore you're going to skip doing it. Sometimes there are some ones that you do like doing but are a little bit annoying. For me, that's like a hack squat, but I know the value of it and I like keeping it in there, even though it is tough. So for training, if all those things are improving, all those green markers, all those objective markers, all those tracking markers, all of that, if that's improving, you know that you're achieving your goal. And this is something that I want for people rather than setting like, I'm going to lose 10 kilos in this amount of months. I just think that if people get into the state of losing weight or whatever their goal is, and they can see that they're progressing, even if it takes 2 weeks, once you know that you have the power to get it done in 2 weeks, you don't need to set a goal. Just sustain it. Keep going. You're getting fired up because it's happening. All right, nutrition. We know your nutrition is improving if your knowledge and protein awareness is going up. If you're becoming a more structured eater, trust me, if it's not structured, something's wrong. It's going to be really tough. You're going to feel chaotic, like, oh, I've got to eat that meal, like I've forgotten about it. Can commonly happen if you have a very busy job, but same thing, alarms might be good. Force yourself to eat in that time. It only takes those first couple of times that even if you're busy, you know that lunch is happening in this 12 to 1 window. I called my friend literally nearly on the verge of tears when I first got a coach and first became a PT and I was trying to hit my macros and I called her, I'm like, I literally don't think I can hit these macros. Not that you have macros right now, you don't need them right now, but the point is that once upon a time, I was super stressed about doing things like this. And when that comes upon you, keep going. Do what you're supposed to do, and eventually none of it will ever feel like that. Same as strength. You will never feel that weakness again. You'll never feel not confident in the gym again. You'll literally, once you get out of that initial bit, none of that's going to happen again. You're going to be a completely different person. You're going to be a more competent and proficient meal prepper. This is going to be a future resource, and I haven't rapped on this enough, but meal prepping is the key. It is the key to it all. It makes everything cheaper. I did a little calculation one time where I went conservative both ways. I think people would save $80 a week minimum if they meal prepped. Meal prep, all lunches, most dinners, go out for lunch once, as compared to what everyone does. They buy lunch all the time. You cook good meals. Your eating becomes structured. It just solves so many problems. It's the way to go. And it also takes less time than anything. The only thing that would take less time, and I'm not even convinced it would, because you have to get on your laptop, order them, and then make sure that there's a window of delivery. Buying pre-made meals. That's still not as good as, and it's not as quick or cheap as meal prepping. Do it all. It's all sitting there. You save hours during the week. Are you a mum? Are you someone like a lawyer that literally works from 7 to 7? Are you, anyone that's busy? Just grind out that. It doesn't take 3 hours. I don't know why people say it takes 2 or 3 hours to meal prep. It takes an hour. That 1 hour, you can have that meal because you're going to have that meal anyway. And then there's all these leftovers. Your meal arsenal grows. You have more emergency meals. You know the default meal plan like the back of your hand. And then lastly, the food quality is actually going up. Something we haven't spoken about yet. We know how to make the quality of our food better. Eat whole foods. You don't need a nutritionist to tell you that. Eat vegetables. It's a good idea. You're going to feel better. It's going to be cheaper. I don't need to make a course on that. You know how to do that. So wherever you can, try and get more vegetables in. Yeah, try and get good quality foods. And the reason, I haven't ragged about it yet is because some people may know if it fits your macros. I would actually argue if someone's severely overweight and they eat sausage rolls only, but little amounts, so they still lose weight, they get active, because it's so crucial that that person loses weight for their overall health and mortality, I would argue that that is way healthier than them trying to get more lettuce in, trying to get more avocados and carrots. So that is why that's a bigger overarching thing than the quality. Your specific goal, fat loss. Fat loss. When you do fat loss journeys correctly, you should not be unbelievably hungry. The only time that would happen is if you were actually starting to get down to like shred levels, you're very lean and you're deep into a cut. That type of bodybuilder-esque sort of thing. People who are overweight should never really feel hungry. They should feel tiny amounts during the day, which is fine, but it should not be the thing where you're like obsessing over food. If that is the case, you have unstructured eating and you need to structure it out. Literally had this with a friend, and he has tracked and bulked, has experience with this sort of thing. And as soon as he did a cut with me, he was like, I can't deal with this hunger. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? He was spreading like all of his calories to like the end of the day. So during the day, he was hungry as. And I just went, okay, let's spread it back to the start. Fixed everything. And he started making, some of the meals were just like cereal, like non-satiating, high calorie meals. And then when he replaced that with high volume, low calorie meals, hunger's not an issue anymore. So when you do it right, you shouldn't have too high hunger. Diet drinks is a hack. I don't think I could cut without Pepsi Max. I love Pepsi Max. Food volume. This is something you can investigate yourself. So what foods can I have more of? Prime example of vegetables and salad. You can eat heaps of them before eating way too many calories. Recheck protein. You might feel like you're on top of this and you're applying it, but are you in that ideal level or are you in the good range? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So maybe if you haven't before, and you don't need to do it ongoing, just track out 1 day of eating. Now that you're starting to really dial it in, track out a day and see where your protein. You might be like 20 grams off per day of your ideal amount, and that does matter. And then the other one would be rate of loss. Check if you are sort of in that rate of loss that we decided at the start, which your sheet will tell you. Bulking, 100% rate of gain. You want to be in that level, because if you go outside that level, you'll put on more body fat than you would like. Lifting numbers going up. Are you getting stronger? If they are, then you are 100% growing muscle. Now, weight drops is something that people freak about. Or same with a cut, weight gains. If the scale goes like that, and it could be a large amount, and it could be for a couple of days, that does not mean body fat. Like I said, there's other things going on, water, inflammation, all that sort of stuff, menstrual cycle. So don't freak out. People will be like deep into a cut. They'll go from 3,800 calories to 3,500. Weight will come down slightly and they'll think they've lost like a kilo of muscle. No, that's not how it works. Muscle loss, you would have to not do anything and eat no protein for 2 weeks straight for your muscles to start to atrophy. So that would be the point where you could start to worry. And it's not even like you lose all your muscle, it just starts to happen. Toning, again, if you're at a normal body fat percentage, if you're staying at a maintenance body weight for a long time with the caveat of the high protein and resistance training, weight training, then you are doing well. If you are outside those body fat percentages, either pick a cut or a bulk. Fitness and cardio. Don't do too much too quick. That is going to ruin training for you, and you don't need to do it. It's not going to get you X amount of gains. Same thing for training. People want to train. I see young kids, they want to train 7 days a week and they want to be in there for 3 hours. Once told a kid, mate, stop doing that. Train 4 days. Stop having pre-workout at 5 p.m. at night. Sleep better. Rest. Literally a week later, you would have sworn they were taking steroids. He's like, hey man, I listened to what you said. This is epic. I'm like, yeah, that's how it works. Same with running. If you start to run too far too quick, your body won't like it. It's a lot on the body. It's ground contacts all the time. So you need to start adapting and conditioning yourself to that. Acclimatize first. You're enjoying your modality even more. And then all of the other metrics that we said before. Same distance for less difficulty, same speed for longer distance, and you can sustain your efforts for longer. Energy, etc. I'll revert back to all the things that we've spoken about. Are any of those things improving? And if you genuinely are watching this and you have done the 6 weeks, you'll know deep down, you're like, yes, I'm on the path. So keep doing all of those things. Keep progressing, keep tracking it, and you don't need a guy on the whiteboard, hopefully from now on, to know that you're on the right path.